right, guys and gals, this is Blake Morrow. You were listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I'm going to read a couple comments really quick just because I really appreciate your comments. So this is just for everybody to hear. So John says, I would argue that it doesn't cost us a dime and it has potential to make us money. He's talking about the webinars. Yeah, I mean, hopefully you find some good ideas. Look, I don't know, and I'm not going to say buy this, sell that. That's not what these webinars are about. These webinars are about, hey, look, the euro dollar is setting up for a possible long, the euro dollar is setting up for a possible short. You have to figure out if it's fitting your criteria of what you want to do, what you're looking to do in the markets. But hey, it's just about fostering those ideas between us. David says, I've been listening since about 2008. Blake, thanks for all you do every day. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Greg says, referring your question, I'm confused. Who are Wise Trade? What you going on about? Greg is he's one of our traders in our chat room. Abraham says, not in my 3 years, Mr. B. This is Abraham in Egypt. It was not in my 3 years, Mr. B, and I'm always listening to you quietly in the corner. I appreciate your time very much, and you are a good man for not pushing anything on us, but always having top opinion and safe trading and a companion when home looking for someone to interact with. Thank you so much. Thanks for the comments, Abraham. Scott says you provide great analysis with unbiased balance. We can never thank you enough. Thank you, Scott. Sanjay says, Blake, I'm a new listener and I've never heard a sales pitch, quote unquote sales pitch. It's obvious you do these webinars because you love it. Thank you. You're welcome, Sanjay. Fernando says, most important, you share your ideas, your knowledge, and your process. You, nor Kip, nor Steve mention WiseTrade. It's extremely rare when you do. Thank you. It provides help as close to being in an office with others as possible, even for an old-timer like me. Thanks, Fernando. I appreciate that. I didn't know how much of an old-timer you are. How old are you? IB says, great work, Blake. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Joe says, I told Chris the same thing earlier. And this is Chris Asaro in London. London calling. He was in Hawaii, but Joe says, I told Chris the same thing earlier. It was lonely last night without him on the webinar, and those are really nice comments. So, all right, guys, now done with those comments. Now we got things to start, but I want you all to know that I appreciate you all listening in every day, and I'm glad it's mutual. So I'm glad we're all on the same page. Okay, now it's time for business. Let's get started with our morning analysis. Let's go into the euro dollar. Okay. Okay, so the euro, it did. So I don't know. Did any of you guys buy the euro yesterday? Okay. Remember our morning analysis was this. All right. Here, I got to go back to the hourly. Let's go back to yesterday's analysis. Did some of you buy the euro yesterday at 106.30? Because yesterday morning on the morning edge, we looked at the euro dollar and we said, okay, we have this 127% extension. I could see us hitting new lows, right? Hitting 106.33 and bouncing. Remember, we drew it out. We said, boom, we could bounce from there. Or we bust above 106.90 and then we rally, right? Okay, great. So yesterday on the Lunch Money webinar, we were here. Oh, we were here. And I asked, hey, is anybody buying it down here? And I told you, I'm not buying the euro dollar down there. I traded a counter trend earlier. I mistraded it. But I know some of you probably will. And some of you did. So congratulations for those of you that got long. And hopefully you got out because we actually hit the resistance we talked about yesterday. See, not only did we hit the support, but we also hit the resistance after the fact. Okay? Okay, now there's a couple things here. Let's delete everything because unfortunately these drawings that I drew yesterday, they're going to be kind of a pain in the ass to remove, but let's just do it anyway. It's going to take just a second. The great thing, like if you're coming in a little bit late, the great thing about right now is we know the bull bear line. That means we get above the 106.90, it's bullish. We stay below the 106.90, it's bearish. I mean, that's about what has happened in the last 24 hours. Even more so than your trading, because you might say, well, the best thing that happened to me in the last 24 hours is I made money from the longs, and I got out of my longs over here and got out at a great price. I made some good money. That's great, but what's even better than that is that we know that this is the bull bear line. This is now extremely important to us. This is extremely important to the market. This will decide if the euro is bullish or bearish, is that dotted line right there. Okay, now a couple of things that you may notice is we took out a downtrend line, okay, which now really, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have a position in the euro dollar. Now, do I hope the euro pound continues to rally? Yes, I do, but I don't have a position in the euro dollar. What I know now is that, here, let's remove this. Actually, yeah, let's remove that. I'll just put in another one. What we know now is this right here is our breakout zone, which means, just quite simply, above here we get a rally. You know what? I want to draw that a little further over. Sorry, let me jack that up there. Okay, so we rally here or we sell off here. Pretty simple. Okay. Okay. So now you'll notice what happens between a big what happens between key. Oh, Amanda got out at 106.85. Very nice, Amanda. Nice trade. I know you bought it a little early yesterday. It's good to hear that you did well. Okay, so, and a lot of you guys made money buying the euro down there. So congratulations to all of you. Okay, now the question I want to ask you is, here, what happens between what happens before a big news event usually? Paul, perfect. Mid-range. Yeah, Greg, mid-range. Benedict, Andy, yeah, we go in neutral. So, what? We go neutral? Yes, we go neutral. We go right in the middle of a range. So, I bet you by the time FOMC minutes, we're right around here. Right in between this range here and that range there, we're mid-range, okay? Yeah, I mean, we go into like a neutral zone or a mid-range or whatever. Now, I may be wrong, but I think this is important enough resistance, and this is now important enough support where we're going to probably do this, you know, before the FOMC meeting minutes. Now the next question is, what happens after the meeting minutes? This is a good question. I think the risks of a buy the rumor, sell the news is quite high. I agree with Paul 100%. What he said earlier today. Okay, I believe that the dollar is a little overbought, so we can, you know, we can see a little bit of a pullback. Okay, because look, and you might have missed this if you're tuning in a little bit late. There's what, 70% chance that the Fed's going to raise rates in December, whatever the probabilities are right now, that the market's pricing in. How much more percentage points can the market push? Is it going to be a 90% chance that we raise rates in December? I doubt it. There's always going to be that question mark, because the FOMC minutes are not going to have a Fed governor or every Fed governor saying, I am voting for a December rate hike, we should raise rate, we're raising rates then. You're not going to get a definitive answer out of the minutes. And I doubt it's going to be so hawkish that that's the case. So the best case scenario is it will confirm, hey, yeah, the Fed's probably going to raise rates. So then, if that's the case, then the risk is, all right, well, there's been a lot of dollar buying the last, you know, week and a half, so we then might start to squeeze higher, okay? And so I think that is the risk. So I agree with that. Now, if for some reason I'm wrong, and we walk away from today's FOMC meeting minutes thinking, oh, there's no way the Fed's not going to raise rates in December. If that's the case, we are breaking down. Okay. I don't think that's going to be the case, but it doesn't mean that doesn't mean I'm right. It doesn't mean I'm wrong either. It just means I think there's probably, probably a less chance of us going lower from here immediately. I think there's more of a chance of us rallying than finding some sort of resistance up here somewhere, here or here or here. I don't know where it'll be, but we'll have to figure it out once we start breaking. But anyway, that's what I think. So today it's easy. The great news is, I know I just spent a lot of time talking about easy, but really it's easy identifying the levels. So 106.30 and 106.90. God, I hate this commercial. Hate it. Really, I mean, it's like the day that we stop this commercial, I'll be really happy. It's a triple Q power shares. I had no idea who even did that commercial. I just refused to look at it until now. Okay, we are in a bearish trend, and let's think ahead a little bit. Okay, I'm going to delete this as soon as I'm done doing it. But thinking ahead, if we get a squeeze, 38, 50%. So if we get a squeeze here, above 106.90, I am looking for a move to about anywhere between 107.30 and 107.50. I'll start looking for shorts. Okay. So if we get a squeeze, if it actually comes, I'm going to start scoping out shorts somewhere up there. So just think about that in the next 24, 48 hours. So if we do squeeze through here, I will start looking for short trades around these prices. Because that's ultimately what I want to do. Ultimately, I want to be short the euro because I think the euro is going to parity. Okay, ultimately. Let's go over to the cable. So now that poses a question about the cable. The pound has been pretty resilient, I have to admit. Okay. Once again, we rejected at the, closing in on the 152.65 level, which is the 50% retracement of the high to low. Okay. 152.65. That remains key resistance. Okay. And you'll notice, you know what, we can do this. Yes. Okay. This trend line. Right. So if we rally, we're going to just test the underside of this trend line now again. So 152.65 still is key resistance. 152.65 is still key resistance. As long as we stay below that, we're still in a bearish trend. Now 150.150 held yesterday, right there on the dip, 150.150, still support. Well, and I think yesterday we wrote down 151.70, but I'll just write down 151.50. Still support. Real tight ranges for the pound. All right, let's go into the Swissy. Now, the stupid Swissy last night. I mean, I'm getting frustrated because I'm just wanting a pullback. That's all I want. Last night in Asian trade, we were racing back up. I sat down and I was writing that Forex wrap to our traders, and I saw the stupid Swissy jamming back up into the 60s. Wit, who's in our chat room, he's like, Swissy's on the move again. I'm like, damn it, man. Stupid thing won't stop. All right. Okay, now the bad news, if you're long the Swissy, you're setting up a double top here. Okay. Good news is if you want to get long the Swissy, shoot, let me delete that. The good news, if you want to get long the Swissy, I think that's probably your neckline. If it breaks through that low, then we have a double top setup. I think the neckline should have been right here, but I before the FOMC minutes, I think it's preventing it. So the good news is if we break down, We'll test 108, 1.0080, which by the way, if you don't recall, is a breakout point. Do you remember? Do you see that? Look at how, if it does break down, look at how well behaved it will be. So I'm hoping, guys, I'm hoping we break through this 101 and a quarter, okay? And then it takes us down to 1.0080, then I can get long. So anyway, 101.70, 101.25. That's a range right now, and it is damn bullish. 1.0125, 1.0170, and I really hope it pulls back, because I really want to buy it on a dip. Okay. Okay, that's the Swiss. Let's go to the yen. So the yen, once again, the yen could obviously to new highs as well. We have the BOJ rate decision tonight, by the way, later on tonight. Any move in the dollar yen up to 123.80. Okay. Resistance. Right now we are being stopped up by the 786 retracement, or is it the 80, I'm sorry, the 88% retracement. But this resistance right here, I'm sorry, it's that resistance right there, is 123.60. That still remains. Didn't we have 23.65? 23.60. How come I keep thinking 23.65? Where did I come up with that number? I have that number in my head for some reason. I don't know why. That's all right. 123.60 is resistance. 123.60, and if you notice, we haven't been able to break below 123.10 yet. So, and I actually have to move up that support now. We've been looking at this, but we actually should be looking at that. So it's now 123.20. You see, it's like a little shelf there. It's holding. Somebody said a little bit earlier to me, man, this dollar yen's not pulling back. I'm like, either is stocks. Stocks aren't pulling back either. Range. Dollar Canadian. So, the CAD. Paul Franco earlier had pulled up this chart. Or, you know what? Something like that. Anyway. Or, no. I'm sorry. What Paul did is Paul did this. Paul did that. Okay. Ascending wedge. We're already broken out. So hopefully this will pull back the dollar Canadian. I'm just going to reiterate, I'll be a buyer down here. So if we drop to 132, I'm a buyer still. That hasn't changed. And what might be different now is this resistance, support. So now I think we have to move that up to like 132.20 now. If we dip to 132.20, I'm a buyer. So just let you guys know. I think that is key support. Resistance, obviously, 133.70. $133.70. Okay, and this is still still a range. Okay. Let's go over to the Kiwi. All right, so here's the Kiwi. The Kiwi, I mean, look at how tight these ranges have been for the Kiwi. Now, check this out. This is cool. I don't know if it's really that cool. I mean, because here's the thing. Oops. If the Kiwi breaks 65, it's going to start squeezing. Now, if you're long the Kiwi dollar or if you're short the Kiwi dollar, that is concerning. Okay. So a move above 65 cents would be big resistance, and it'd be a breakout. Okay. We are in a range. Now, look, from a risk-reward perspective, I'm just going to say this right now. It makes sense to be short the Kiwi. I am not short the Kiwi right now. I am not. Okay. Hold on really quick. That Boris Schlossberg, he just tweeted something about this guy talking about the Fed presidents talking about the Death Star in Star Wars, and I had to retweet that just a moment ago. Do you know why? Do you guys know why? Who's the person that started talking about the Death Star in the Fed's toolbox first? Kevin Ferry, right? Kevin, he's been a guest on these webinars several occasions for the last couple of years, right? Kevin Ferry is probably, if I had to, he's probably one of the best and smartest minds in the market. It's going to be a shame when he retires, which I'm assuming is probably coming up within the next 10 years or so. He is definitely one of the smartest people out there. Okay, and his name is Hooper Quant. It's his handle, and he's been talking about the Death Star since, I want to say, a year and a half ago, and now it's funny, everybody's talking about it. It's crazy. All right, anyway, but that just shows you how great Kevin is. He's super awesome. All right, now support. Let's write this down really quick. Support in the Kiwi is going to be at 64.50. Okay, same as yesterday. 0.6450. All right, I'll be back in a few moments. When I come back, we'll continue on. Scott said something about 130. Greg says Death Star, 21st of August, 2013. There you go. So a year and a half, right? Yeah. 3220 is the 618. And if you guys don't know what the Death Star is, it's the reverse repo facility for the Fed. It's how the Fed's going to destroy all the debt out there. 3220 is the 618. 3220 is the 618. That's what Scott said. 3220 is the 32. What were we talking about? 3220. Hold on. 32. Oh, Canadian. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Jay said the whole time I thought you were talking about Star Wars. No. No, no, no. It's a reverse repo facility, you silly goose. All right. I don't know where the you're probably talking to the 618 of this, huh? Dude, what are you talking about? Oh, right here. Sorry. You're talking about this, Scott. This 618, but yeah, the 618 is irrelevant now. This is actually, I need to get rid of this. That's irrelevant. We've already passed through it. So maybe it's a little bit more than 38% retracement of this. But this is now where it's significant, somewhere down here. All right, guys. You guys are all talking about, you guys all thought I was first? Oh, oy vey. I need to take a break. It's too early in the morning. I'll be back in a few minutes. Bye. All right, traders, this is Blake Morrow. You are listening to the Morning Edge webinar. I want to welcome you all back. All right, let's finish this up really quick. Aussie dollar, let's get to it. So I am sitting in a very small Aussie long, not particularly happy about it, but I'm not really too worried about it either, frankly. I'm not. It's one of those things that the only thing that concerns me is the price of gold. That's really the most concerning thing. But you know, you look at gold and you look at copper and silver. I mean, that is a little concerning, but at the same time, I'm not too terribly worried about it. I do think that that the Aussie dollar is right up against some pretty key resistance, and we do have to break 71.50 to actually break out. 70.70 is also support, and you guys remember this from yesterday. This has not changed. Okay, just that resistance is coming down. So 71.40, 70.70. Okay, 70.70 and 71.40. Okay, we are, in a range. Okay, and let's take a real quick look at the dollar index. Okay, here's the Dixie. Okay, this is really important because we can clearly see the massive support we're sitting on, or really close to. Okay, this is an hourly chart of the dollar index. You guys, if those of you that are watching the dollar index, you should just draw this chart, or draw that trend line. Okay, that's it. Just draw that trend line, know where it's at, and be very, very aware of it. Okay, as long as we hold above that blue line, be really careful about shorting the dollar. We get below that blue line, that's going to open up some downside. Let me go ahead and so this is going to be. Let me go ahead and change this format again. Okay. So anyway, you can see this is really going to be key support on the way down. So that comes in around, at this point, 99.25. Okay, and then resistance is up here, 99.75. It's starting to get tight. Starting to get really tight. 99.25. 0.25 and then 99.75. And this is bullish. Okay, let's take a real quick look and see if there's any. It looked like the peso, there was nothing going on with the peso, and with the Norwegian krone, it looked like there was some selling coming in. So you can see here's the peso still stuck within these ranges. I don't think there's a lot to do here. You know what? We can probably write down both prices, 1690, 1663. So, okay, US dollar, MXN, 16.63. And what would I say? 16.90, right? Okay, range, just sit on that. Let's go over to the Norwegian krone is starting to roll over a little bit. Okay, we came off. Looks like out of that little range, but you notice we're holding above 860. This is obviously going to be pretty key support again. But I don't know what, even if we broke through that, I don't know how excited I'd be about shorting the US dollar Norwegian krone, because you notice we broke down before, like right here. We broke down that, we broke out of the 860, we broke down, and then we just stopped and rallied back again. So even if we got below 860, I don't even know how bearish I'd be at that point. But I'd rather just leave it alone. It's not very clear, other than it's extremely bullish. You know, other than that, I mean, there's no clear, like, you know, looking at it saying, oh, well, you know, definitely over here is a great entry to be long, and definitely up here is a great entry to be short. I don't feel that way about any price point on the Norwegian krone, so there's no sense in really writing anything down for it. Swedish krona, we did reject at resistance. Okay, now this is good because here let's delete this flag for now. I can always come back and draw that out again, but let's. This is very similar to the what was it that we have a double top? The Swissy. Very similar here. So let's write down these two places, because you know, if the Fed minutes are so bullish or so hawkish, excuse me, where we go, oh my God, the Fed's going to start raising rates. Hell, if that's the case, you know, maybe we do break out. So 876, 860, 876, 860. 876, 860, 8.76, right? Is that correct? Just make sure I got that number correct. Yeah, 876.50 actually. Okay, there we go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, your bias chart is prepared.